Hey my friends, this is Lance with BestKidSolutions.com, and in today's video we're going to be talking about something that is not easy to talk about, although it should be, and it should be something that everybody does, and early. My friends, we're going to be talking about how to talk to your child about race. My friends, let's get right into it. If you're new to the channel, thanks for being here. A little bit about myself. I am an award-winning educator. I have been teaching for over 20 years. I'm a proud father of two amazing young daughters. My beautiful wife is a special needs teacher, and both of my parents are both public school educators for over 40 years each. And as you can see, we have spent a lot of time and we are dedicated to helping what we believe are the most important people on this planet, and those are kids, parents, and teachers. And this is why I really wanted to make this video, because this is something that's uncomfortable. This is something that I'm even as somebody who I believe is open to these things, and I really feel strongly about this. This is something that even for me is hard to talk about, because there's so many moving pieces that every tip and technique doesn't always work for everybody. But I think it's important, amazingly important, that you have this conversation with your child, because you don't want somebody else talking to your child about something so important without you. You don't want them learning, and believe me, they will be learning about something as important as this by somebody else. You don't want that to happen. And so making it a point to talk to your child about race and all the things that go along with it is extremely important. So let's get into the very first one. The first one is you must have empathy, compassion, and love as a part of your family language. My friends, if this situation, this great world we live in, is going to get better, we need those words. We need empathy, we need compassion, and we need love. When we start conversations with this mentality, the conversation will be going in the right direction. And so anytime that you are having a conversation, start with these three words and the conversation will go in the right direction. It may not go the way that you want it to, but at least it's starting off in the right direction. My friends, the second one is don't talk. Don't talk about race. Don't talk about things to your child. Model it for them. The best teacher a young child can have is the grown people in their lives to model something for them. As animals, all animals learn through modeling. A baby tiger learns how to hunt and survive by the mother tiger modeling for the baby. And the same thing goes for human beings. Children learn through modeling. If you want your child to be a successful adult, when you want them to have empathy and love and compassion, you have to show that to them. That is how it starts. If you want them to react in a positive way, you have to act in that positive way, because you can't tell them something, you can't talk to them about something and then show them differently. Your actions cannot show them differently. You have to practice what you preach, because your child will see that, and they will see the conflict in what you're saying and then what you're doing. So model for them everything that you want for your child. Show that through your actions, because actions speak louder than words. And I think that's something as parents, regardless of the conversation that you have with your child, you must first model and show for them. You must show it to them first, because many times you will find and have many conversations with parents and teachers and kids themselves that say, you know what? My father, my mother didn't teach me this. I saw them do this. That is why I do this today. You will have many conversations with people that will tell you over and over again that it's not what they said, it's what they did. And I think that is extremely important when we are talking about race and how to handle race equality, is by showing them is the number one way to do that. If you want your child to be successful, show them the traits to be successful. If you want them to be a good reader, model for them good reading skills. You be a reader yourself. It's amazing how easy it can be, but this is one of the most difficult things that you can do to help your child, but it's the most important one. The third one is going to be to talk about race. This is something that you don't want somebody else discussing with your child first, or hearing things from other people before you can discuss it with them as well. This is a topic that is going to be something that is you want to be able to communicate with them first, so they have a good foundation, so that when they do hear things from other people, and they will, whether it be good or bad, they have a foundation to put that on. You're going to hear a lot of different ideas. They are going to hear a lot of different ideas. By setting the tone and having that conversation first, gives them the foundation, the strong foundation, to be able to either discredit something. Obviously, you want to be empathetic and you want to hear what they're saying, but there's going to be some things that aren't going to meet that criteria that make a topic or a conversation appropriate. And by having that conversation ahead of time, you are going to be able to give them the ability to either deflect or to be able to help understand for themselves, because they have that foundation already set by you at an early tone. There are studies that show that kids can see differences in skin tone as early as, I think it's a year. I don't know the exact number, but it's young. And that is not inherently bad. That is just part of the human nature. But when you have kids talking about things they don't know about or haven't been educated about, you don't want them hearing it from them, versus you giving them the opportunity, as I said before, to have that solid foundation so that they can help themselves when you are not around. Now, obviously, you want to encourage questions. When you have this conversation about race and about culture, you want for them to ask you questions. You want to initiate. We all know as teachers, and as a teacher, you want the child to be engaged in the conversation, and you encourage them to ask questions. And you can start off by probing questions. How do you feel about this? Or what have you heard about this? What do you know about race? What have other kids been saying about race? And cultures and anything in regards to that subject, get them involved, and then having them ask questions, and that you can answer them. And once that starts happening, you know the engagement is there. And that is super important when you are having these discussions, because it's an engagement. You can talk to them all day long, but if they're not engaged in the conversation, they don't understand the importance of this, and you haven't created a setting where they are also part of the narrative, it won't go as well. Now, obviously, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon by any means. And so you're going to want to break it up into small chunks. You don't want to you give them a dissertation. Obviously, we want them to know as much as we can right away, but break it up into chunks, and of course, make it age appropriate. Obviously, start out as young as you can. You want to differentiate based upon your child. If your child is mature and they can handle something like this, then you can get into more detail. If your child isn't as mature, then you may need to break it down into smaller chunks. But the idea is to talk about it so that they have the ability to create a foundation for themselves, as I said before, without somebody building it for them. You want your child to have a strong foundation built by you, not having people started putting bricks into their foundation that do not necessarily have the best means for your child. And of course, that's not to say that they're not going to get good information as well. You want to be able to give them this opportunity to know the difference, and to also be empathetic when they hear good things or bad things. Also, my friends, number 4 is going to be, you want to teach them about other cultures so that they have the ability to understand that differences make this world the great place that it is. But with those differences and being human beings, we want for our children to understand these before they are immersed in all these cultures when they're adults. This is an ability for them to be able to grasp the concepts of something as important as this with the cultures in mind when they have been given the opportunity to see other cultures, other ways other people handle things. It really makes a big difference when they have gone into the real world. And when you go into the real world, it's going to be a lot of different people all going toward the same thing, and that is going to be wanting beauty, wanting success. And there are going to be obviously people that are not going to be going in the same direction, but by having the multicultural background that you have given your children, whether that be through multicultural literature, if that's going through museums, if it's going to something that's going to expand their grasp of their little world that they're in and how big the world is when they become an adult, really makes a big advantage for our friends when they move into that adulthood, even before adulthood, middle school and high school. These things are going to give them, once again, that foundation that really is going to make a big difference. And when they have already experienced other cultures, and it doesn't necessarily need to be in person. It would be great if it was. I think that is an amazing situation. I personally have been a benefit of being and living in a multicultural setting where I was in another country. Not only was I in another country, but I lived and went to school on a military base. I actually lived outside of the military base, but went to school on the military base. And when you're in the military, there are amazing opportunities of all different kinds of language and cultures and people. And that is something that I am very grateful for having. And that is something that has taught me, and I have amazing examples of all different cultures and all different types of people, which makes it easier for me to live in a global aspect. But there are situations and families that don't necessarily have that. They don't have a multicultural situation where they can go right away. Find that for your child. Give them an opportunity to find that in literature, find that in museums, find them, going out and giving them that opportunity any way that you see fit, as long as they're getting that foundation of the diversity and being able to experience other cultures. It really makes the big difference. And the 5th one is that you're going to actually have to talk to them about racism and bigotry and prejudice, because as uncomfortable as it is, this is something that you want them to have the tools to handle early, because unfortunately that is going to happen. It's inevitable. It doesn't matter of what color or what culture or what creed you are. Somebody is going to say something to you or do something to you that is going to not be appropriate. And when you're a child, the number one thing that happens is that they feel like they need to do tit for tat. They need to come back with them in a negative manner. And by talking to them ahead of time on how to handle that makes a huge difference. It really, really does. And it doesn't even necessarily need to be in that regard as well. You have to give them an opportunity to use this time to give them the situation where you can actually say, listen, when somebody says this to you, then you can respond back in this way. Give them a preset thing to say. Now, obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but if you give them the ability and you give them the understanding of what it is, what racism is, what bigotry is, what prejudice is, when they hear it, they will know it. And when they hear it and they know it, they can respond back with empathy, with compassion, with love, and they can respond in a manner that isn't negative. They can put that person in their place the best way that you want them to do so. Now, even if you choose for them not to say anything back, you can instruct them to do something different. If you don't want them to give them a preset phrase and say something that will allow them to know that makes them uncomfortable and that is not right, that is completely up to you. You can have them go do something else. You can have them talk to a teacher, call the parent, call somebody. Whatever it is that doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you are given them the opportunity to have a preset action so that they can handle it with confidence. And that makes a huge, huge difference, because being able to handle that in a comfortable way is huge. And once again, it doesn't necessarily have to be just about this conversation here. It can be about bullying. It can be about anything. When you are giving them the opportunity to have a set response or a set action, they will feel comfortable enough to do so because you've talked to them ahead of time. My friends, I hope that this information was beneficial to you. These situations and these tips are not going to be perfect for everybody. You're going to need the ability to shape these that's best for your family. When your family talks about this, you can come up with your own set of skills and tips, but at least you're talking about it. And this gives you the opportunity to be able to have a set frame of mind. This gives you something to discuss and start out with, but you can critique it to the best of your ability for your family. My friends, I hope that you understand how important this is. I hope that you understand that this message is out of love. This message is out of compassion for all the children of this great world. And the one thing that needs to be addressed is that the children of this nation, of this world, are going to be the ones that make this world a better place. But it is our ability to help them to do so, to teach them, to give them a voice, to give them the foundation that they need to build up to the best of who they can be, is something that we need to do as parents and teachers. They're going to be the change. We may not, as adults, be able to change things right now. We may not have enough time to do so, but these children will. And when you are intentional about growing this great group of kids to be the world benefactors that they need to be, it starts with a conversation. It starts with education. And this is the way to do it, my friends. I hope that you found this interesting. As you can see, the light is changing here. I'm running out of time here, I think. But what I want you to know is, if you want more information about how to help students, about how to help children and parents and teachers, this is the place for it. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up. And in the comments below, tell me what you have done to help your family, the conversation starters, the things that have helped you, and the mistakes that you've made. Because I think the one thing that it's important is that when you make a mistake, you learn from that. And that's something that I think kids don't realize, and even adults. So that, when you make a mistake, you learn from it, you build on it, and the conversation gets better. And that's the key. The conversation continues. So if you want to hear more about how to help kids, parents, and teachers, then please, like I said before, subscribe. Please make sure that you're giving us a big thumbs up. Put some comments in below. And my friends, we will see you in the next video.